But of course, yeah, we should just get in here, introduce these two players. In the top right position, we have got the Zerg player representing the UK from Scotland, currently teamless, JonnyREcco. And his opponent down in the lower left, the Blue Zerg, a caster as we pointed out, a tremendous player as well, from Team XMG, it's ToD.
I want to point out something to you. We've only cast one series with a Terran today.
That is pretty surprising. I'm going to, because of course production can hear us, production, find out how many Terrans, what was the race distribution of the qualifier in total, from like the round of 126 onwards. That'd be really interesting to know. That is your challenge, and now of course they are just cursing at me, being like, Mados, why did you set us doing that? Why did you set us doing that? For goodness sake, do you know how difficult that'll be? But I don't mind. They're just watching Starcraft. We're busy casting. So, of course, in terms of strategy from these two, JonnyREcco is either going to get a spawning pool or a hatchery any moment, and ToD, he's got a pylon in his main yet again, and so is probably going to be going for that pylon in the main Nexus first build.
Yep, I mean, he's opened it with Game 1 and Game 2. I mean, if you find a build you like that you can use against any build order, it is nice. It's not really bad to, just change it up one game, like a best of 5, mix in a cannon rush here and there to throw your opponent off. But, I mean, ToD's comfortable with this build, and it's a good build. I like it. So he's going to go for that Nexus first. Daybreak's a big map. Good for that. And JonnyREcco's opening the same as he did in Game 2.
Yeah, it's a good opening. It's fairly standard. ToD's had success with his opening. He hasn't really been punished for it at any point, so why not just do it again? It gets you economically ahead. You can still get the Forge in the main base as ToD's doing yet again, which keeps you safe. Worst case scenario, you cancel the Nexus if you get a whole ton of Zerglings suddenly at your natural. But in terms of going into the later stages, Daybreak has a lot of really interesting strategies that can be employed. For a start, let's face it, Zoya, an Immortal Sentry all-in is really good on Daybreak. You've also got a lot of gateway pressure that can work really fantastically when you take a Mothership core with them as well, and you can get those mass recalls going down. Plus, you've got the option of just really doing anything else that's viable in a PvZ. So nothing really definite here, nothing on these games that is going to be screaming that's what ToD is going to be doing. JonnyREcco, he will get down a relatively quick third though, because he hasn't taken any gas, so that's fairly standard. He knows with that overlord positioning that the Nexus was thrown down first, and therefore he can just straight away get it third up, and we go into a bit more of a macro situation.
Yeah, it's just everyone's always talked about it. The first 5-6 minutes of ZVP, you can't really talk about much. It's the same thing we've all seen. He gets the gateway, it's the cyber core. Until we see a tech, it's just speculation from there. So there is a probe over here. Might actually get a cannon rush at this third base. There is a link coming over. Is it rallied in vision of this probe? It's going to be close. If it swings around on the inside, it will see the probe, and it does get the attack off on it.
And this is fine. It means that obviously no cannons or anything can go down there. It's pretty safe. ToD just seeing that, okay, Rico's taken his third, therefore I'm safe. I know that he's not going for any kind of weird two-base play, none of that beautiful Swarm Host Queen Nidus network type of all-in, and this just means that ToD is now back in the driver's seat. He's really going to be dictating what happens in the near future, and JonnyREcco ultimately is a very macro-orientated Zerg player. He wants to drone for as long as possible. He likes holding down the D key and just waiting until the last possible moment to make units.
Roblox still on the way. I mean, it worked Game 2. If he goes for it Game 3, I wouldn't be surprised. If he takes his third and fourth gas soon, then it is some Century Immortal, and we'll just have to see. He's starting to work on those plates there. That needs to be started being done by a lot of people. There's so many times where I've moved, like to go to attack move, and I accidentally clicked the plates, and I've wasted Bailings on it. I mean, it's nice to just clean that up.
Just get it out of the way, be a little cautious. Of course, JonnyREcco, he's also getting down those first two gases, all very normal timings from everything. His Roach Warren, his Evolution Chamber will probably get thrown down in sort of about the next minute. Those are usual timings. What has he actually seen in terms of the scouting information? Well, the Overlord is just sacrificing itself in for the time being into the main. Will it get to see that robotic facility? Yes, it does. That is a really important scout, because that ultimately means JonnyREcco knows yet again what sort of tech is likely to be coming out. And if we take a quick peek at obviously what he's doing in response to this, he's starting up his lair. He's not over panicking. He hasn't seen too many additional gateways yet. The +1 ground weapons just starting up for the Protoss player, and ultimately, it's looking to be, well, until we see more gates, it's not super aggressive yet, but ToD could very well just go back up to the 5 to 7 gates we saw in Game 2.
Yeah, it'll be thrown down relatively soon, and there we go. We're seeing additional gates in the main base. So same build as game number 2. You know, if it worked once, why not try it twice? You know, soul train your opponent out of this game. He's up to 4 gases, so it will be Century Immortal all in again. 5 gateways about to finish up. He's already got 1 down, so he's going to be up to, or 2 down, so he's going to be up to 7 gateways. He went with the same amount last game, so yeah, exact same build. You know, JonnyREcco got a much earlier scout on the robotics facility. He's not going for Hydras this time. He's got the Roach Warren and Lair about to finish up. The chokes are much more narrow and a lot less attack paths on this map, so if you get Spine Crawlers out at the top of the ramp at the natural and at the 3rd base, it's an easier hold than it is on Belshire Vestige.
It is an easier hold, and I think that's an important thing to note as well, that it's not quite as powerful, but ultimately we do see ToD. He's going up to a significant amount of gateways. The Overseer is flying in. We'll get a good read, see the 2s, now the 3rd Immortal there, a Changeling also getting chucked down. But this is everything that REcco would have wanted to spot, and actually the Overseer manages to get away with 32 HP. REcco responding to this perfectly, sending a lot of Zerglings over the map, because if you engage this Immortal Sentry push in the center of the map, you force a lot of force fields, delay the push, and ultimately if you've got less force fields and more time to get out more units, you're going to be in a much happier place if the push manages to make it to your 3rd.
I think the most important part is to just delay it. You know, you don't. I mean, using the Force Field Energy is important, but just delaying this, buying you as much time as possible. Now, speed is just about to finish up. There are 3 Immortals here. Probe is with the army as well to get pylons down. This is a lot of speedlings, man. This is a lot. You can delay this for quite a bit. It looks like he might actually be taking the 3rd base or faking it. We'll have to see.
And actually, I quite like this build if you do fake it down. In terms of the gateway count, there are 7 gates down, so I'd be very surprised to see ToD go for that 3rd. He does have enough minerals for it, but with so many gateways committed, it's quite unusual to get it. Otherwise, obviously, why all those gateways are going to be wasted. You could definitely get rid of quite a few of those and take the expansion and still make it look like a big push, but I don't think that's what's going to be happening here. ToD's starting to move across the map. The Speedlings do see the complete wall off. That's a big giveaway that it's going to be a push, and a couple of force fields being used here. ToD having to be very cautious moving forward to make sure he doesn't get surrounded in the center of the map.
We see that JonnyREcco is researching Overlord drops. Oh, there he canceled it. Never mind. So I was thinking that was a mistake, getting that at this point without speed at least. But this is good control so far from JonnyREcco, keeping the pressure and slowing this down. All he's got to do is feign in a flank, maybe force a few force fields. There are no massive units, so say ToD does do a bunch of force fields and traps himself, that's just delaying even longer. He's going to catch these links here, poke at them a little bit. Supply 174 to 124. This is a much bigger supply count than we had last game when ToD's push came, so JonnyREcco really hasn't missed a beat here. He's researching burrow and burrow movement. I don't know if ToD's push is going to work, guys.
I don't know if it will either, because JonnyREcco, he's maxed out. He has delayed this push for oh so long. He's got an attack prepared from every angle. Tunneling Claws, Burrow all coming down. The War Prism is there, but REcco just sending a few links, and this is a massive concave for REcco here. The important thing, though, are those Immortals. How much damage can they do before they get focused down? Some good force fields, zoning out a large chunk of the Roach force. REcco doing the right thing, pulling back there, but of course so many force fields have been used. More Roaches are in production. REcco, he's going to be going for push-in 2 here, and ToD has to be so careful.
That was a lot of energy used, like you pointed out. There's only enough for a few more force fields. No, if he mixes the Guardian Shield, he's going to have like 2 force fields left over. Here goes, some decent force fields go down. No more force fields are left over here. Drones have been pulled as well, but they're not on the A move. Queens go down. A nice surround here. Good pickup on the Warp Prism. Going to try and micro these Immortals back with the reinforcements. I think that might just be too much. ToD is getting cleaned up here. No Mothership